What's up guys, Karlton Dennis here. Welcome back to Taxes Made Simple. In today's video, we'll be talking all about Martha Stewart and how she got caught in trouble with her taxes by the state of New York. Martha Stewart is known for being the first female self-made billionaire in the United States. Throughout her career, Martha wrote best-selling books, she created an entire media empire, and she's had successful magazines called Martha Stewart Living and more. She dominated the art and lifestyle niches. However, Martha dipped her toe into some murky waters, guys, and she ended up getting into some serious trouble with the law. Eventually, Martha was put into prison.
Alderson, West Virginia, the prison town that will be Martha Stewart's home for the next 5 months.
Stewart will have to steel herself for a life of bunk beds, shared showers and toilets, a rigid 6 a.m. wake-up bell, a daily prison job, and no privacy.
Here at Taxes Made Simple, we definitely don't want the same thing happening to you. I'm going to break down everything Martha did wrong so that you can learn from her mistakes and avoid them and avoid getting into trouble yourself. Let's dive in. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to talk about is securities and frauds accusations. The trouble that Martha Stewart got into with the law can really be broken down into two categories: securities and fraud accusation and tax evasion. In terms of the securities and fraud accusations, Martha Stewart was indicted in 2003 for securities fraud, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. This was all related to a situation in 2001 in which Martha sold 4,000 shares of a pharmaceutical stock the day before the stock dropped 16%. The name of the pharmaceutical company that Martha was invested in was called ImClone. It has been trying to get FDA approval for a brand new cancer drug that it was testing called Ebertux, which was going to be used as an infusion treatment for certain types of cancer. However, the FDA denied the approval for this drug, and Martha Stewart sold her ImClone stocks on December 27, 2001, just before the news broke out and the FDA rejected it. Of course, many people found it suspicious that Martha sold 4,000 shares of ImClone hours before the stock price dropped. The Securities and Exchange Commission also found it pretty suspicious, and they decided to investigate her for insider trading. Martha was put on trial in 2004, and then she was eventually convicted of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and making false statements to investigators. However, she actually ended up not being convicted for insider trading or securities fraud. But because she was convicted of the other crimes, Martha had to serve a 5-year prison sentence in Alderson Federal Prison Camp in West Virginia. And after she got out, she also was put on house arrest for 5 months and was on probation for 2 years. Now let's talk about the tax evasion. In 2002, Martha was forced to pay $220,000 in back taxes to the IRS. They were for unpaid property taxes that had accrued on her home in the Hamptons in New York. Whether or not Martha Stewart intentionally evaded paying these taxes is unknown. What is known is that she claimed that the reason why she didn't pay them in the first place was because she was only spending a little bit of time in the houses each year, and so she didn't think that the property taxes applied to her. In this situation particularly, Martha's innocent act seemed to work and she escaped any jail time for her tax evasion. However, she did have to pay all of the back taxes that she owed. She was also informed that she would have to keep paying the taxes on the property from there on out, which she did. There are some key lessons, though, that we need to learn about Martha Stewart. There are many lessons that we can learn from her run-ins with the law. The first is that you should always avoid insider trading. Insider trading is when you make stock trades based on non-public information provided to you from people inside of publicly traded companies. This is illegal and can result in jail time. So I just wanted to voice that. Although Martha Stewart was never actually convicted of insider trading, her behavior was suspicious enough to get her investigated by the SEC. She ended up lying to the SEC during the investigation and getting sentenced to prison anyway. So in addition to avoiding insider trading, you should also avoid lying to investigators during the course of an investigation if you happen to be investigated by the SEC. Because one, this is a felony act and can also land you in prison. Additionally, from a tax standpoint, we can learn from Martha Stewart that just because you're living in a property full time or not, does not mean that you don't owe property taxes on it. If you own property in any state in the United States, expect to pay taxes according to the laws of that state for that property that it is in. If you try to avoid paying taxes on property that you owe, then there's a extremely good chance that the IRS will catch up to you. If you do get caught, the best case scenario is that you will have to pay the taxes that you owe anyways, plus the penalties and interest fees. The worst case scenario is that you'll be convicted of a tax fraud. and will be sentenced to jail in addition to being forced to pay back taxes and penalties. It makes a lot more sense to just pay the taxes up front. Do not make the same mistakes that Martha Stewart made and think you are exempt from paying taxes for some reason. In the vast majority of cases, you won't be. Unlike many celebrities who are sent to prison or who have their careers destroyed by legal or tax problems, Martha Stewart's career got even better after she got out of prison. In fact, while Martha Stewart was in prison, the value of her stock holdings doubled and she became a billionaire again. Soon after leaving prison, after temporarily losing her billionaire status, following her felony convictions, Martha was barred from being the director of her company. However, she rejoined the board again after this 5-year period expired, following her release from prison. Martha also wrote several books, more books, starred in a spin-off series called The Apprentice, where she became close friends with Snoop Dogg, and then she was also featured on several TV shows with Snoop Dogg. Additionally, she launched her own wine and frozen foods brand. In short, being caught with tax evasion and being sentenced to prison for 3 felonies did not slow down Martha Stewart long term. I could put that out there. However, these things did cause a major disruption in her life in the early 2000s and forever tarnished her reputation.
I'm just very, very sorry that it's come to this, that a small personal matter has been able to be blown out of all proportion. And with such venom and such gore, I mean, it's just terrible.
Luckily, Martha was able to adapt to the changes in her reputation and took the whole thing in stride. But many people are not as lucky. Here are some things I need you to know. Property taxes. Because it was property taxes issues that got Martha Stewart in trouble, I'm going to go over a few things that all homeowners should know about property taxes. You can experience serious penalties for not paying your property tax bill. Penalties vary from state to state and city to city, but oftentimes they are of a financial nature and can be quite steep. In a worst case scenario, you could actually end up having your home foreclosed on and seized by the state if you fail to pay your property taxes to the United States government. Property taxes are based on the value of your home. The value of your home is periodically assessed in order to determine the amount of property taxes that you have to pay. Generally speaking, the more valuable your property is, the more money you'll have to owe in property taxes. You have the right to appeal the assessment of your property's value if you believe the assessment of your home value is not accurate. Then you can have the right to assess what you're trying to pay in property taxes. If you do decide to appeal the assessment of your property's value, then you can prove your case by collecting data from similar sized homes in your neighborhood and then make a comparison. To conclude, trying to dodge property taxes is a dangerous game. This is because chances of you getting caught are just simply too high. So even though it can be tempting for some people to try to lie to the government or evade taxes in order to save money, this strategy does not work. If it didn't work for the first female self-made billionaire in America, Martha Stewart, it's probably not going to work for you either. Instead, save yourself all the hassle and trouble and just pay your property taxes in the first place. You need any help with property taxes, how to calculate adjustments, questions about taxes in general, reach out to my company. You can do so by visiting the links below in the description. It will take you to a page where you can schedule a consultation with my team. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how you feel about Martha Stewart's situation. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Over and out.